Welcome back to the Laboratory of Mayhem. I love pirates. I've always loved pirates. Maybe not always, but I can definitely tell you when I started loving pirates. It was back in 1975. In the early to mid 70s, we had tons of toys. We had really cool toys. Mostly G.I. Joe, Action Jackson. G.I. Joe, everyone is probably familiar with the little 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe, but we had the 6 scale 12-inch G.I. Joe action figures with Kung Fu grip. Even before Kung Fu grip, and they had this hand that went like this. I don't know why they had this hand. It was like maybe he was crushing your head. Anyway, back then, parents were much more frugal. If you were getting a G.I. Joe figure, you would get a G.I. Joe, and then if you wanted, say, G.I. Joe with a scuba outfit, you would whereas today you would go and get a separate G.I. Joe with the scuba outfit. Back then, you could swap things out. They would sell accessory packs. They would sell things where you could take your G.I. Joe and he could become an astronaut. He could become a scuba diver. He could become a commando. He could become a skier in the winter environment. Much like the Barbie fashion dolls had, they would just sell different outfits to go along with them, and you could change them out yourself. And G.I. Joe was obviously the most popular with this, but Mego came along and they established their own brand of this called Action Jackson, which was just a basic figure and you could change out the clothing on it, different outfits and so forth. And Mego pretty much controlled the toy market at the time. They were huge. They had the licenses for Monsters, Universal Monsters, Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, all of the Marvel and DC superheroes, and it was just a great time to be a kid. And then, in 1975, something new came out, something that nobody had done before. They were pirate action figures. They were called the Fighting Furies. They were made by Matchbox Toys, which was usually, all they did was race cars, like Hot Wheels. But you had Matchbox cars, and but they came out with these action figures. And there were two of them to begin with that we saw. There was Captain Pegleg and Captain Hook. Now, obviously, Captain Pegleg had a peg leg, and Captain Hook had a hook instead of a left hand. They came with their swords, and they would battle each other. And this started my lifelong love of pirate films, pirate toys, and pirate documentaries, memorabilia. They just fascinated me with their stories. So let's take a look at some of these early ones, and we're going to get into my review of Jack Sparrow from Dead Men Tell No Tales by Hot Toys. So this was Captain Pegleg, obviously because he has a peg leg. And this was Captain Hook, because he has a hook. But the cool part was the play set that you could get with it, which was just a cardboard ship covered in vinyl, but it had a lot of accessories that were a lot of fun to play with. Boy, it was such a good time playing with those pirate toys. You could do all kinds of cool things. You could get string and make nets and whatnot. It was a pretty cool accessory back in a time when you didn't get a whole lot of really big accessories and play sets for figures. We had the Action Jackson Jungle Treehouse. That was pretty cool. I had the Enterprise for my Mego Star Trek figures, but with the little thing you could spin, the transporter was pretty neat. But anyway, so our pirates. So years later, many years later, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies came out, and I thought overall the series was very good. I enjoyed all of them. Some are better than others. The first one is just absolutely perfect. And I had never gotten around to picking up a Jack Sparrow figure. So when this last opportunity came along, I said, I'd better jump on this because probably not going to get another opportunity because I don't think Johnny Depp will be reprising his role as Jack Sparrow. So here he is. There's Jack Sparrow. This is absolutely a work of art. I was flabbergasted when I saw this figure. Everything, the details, the sculptures, the paint, uh, the movable eyes is really impressive. I don't have very many figures with the movable eyes, but this is really impressive. Um, the outfit, I had made some of my own pirate outfits before for various projects, and this is sending me back to the drawing board, especially the boots. The boots are absolutely fabulous. It got me thinking how I can make something like this. I think what they did, because it's a resin covered in fabric, and I believe that there is a sole glued on to the bottom of it. So I'm going to have to take a look at these a little bit deeper and see what I can do to make my own version, because they're really cool looking boots. I had a pair of cast pirate boots that were resin, and they work pretty well. They're a two-part boot, but they don't look anywhere near as realistic as this. And once I saw these, I was like, wow, you know what? I got to have this. Okay, so the accessories that this figure comes with, I mean, the outfit is just spectacular. He's got a dagger here. He's got his flintlock shoved in his belt. He's got his sword in his little, there's a word for this thing that it fits in. It slipped in my mind at the moment, but someone had made fun of me before about, like I mentioned, a holster, because I didn't realize, like, oh, back then they didn't have holsters; they just shoved them in their belts. But oh well. One thing I was a little bit disappointed with was the sword itself is plastic. Doesn't really matter too much because it's still cool looking, but it's when we look at the third party figure of Barbossa, who has a metal sword, it's sort of like, wait, Hot Toys couldn't give me a real metal sword with this. It was a little bit disappointing. Now, some of the accessories that he comes with, I'm going to put him on his little stand here. Go back to the big one here. Stay, Captain Jack. Jack Sparrow. So there's a lantern that you can put a battery in, and it actually lights up. This guy here, which I haven't done because I don't have anywhere to put him yet. Yet being the operative word. I was thinking because, well, I'll get to that in a couple minutes. I have the black pearl inside the bottle. I have Jack's compass, which I have not put on his belt because I don't have a permanent place for him yet. And I have a tendency to bump things and knock things down and lose them. So these little tiny things I am not putting on him until he's got a permanent home, probably encased in some kind of glass or something, because these little trinkets are too cool to lose. But he's got this little monkey's paw and some other accessories, his telescope and another flintlock that goes in there, which is pretty impressive. But the thing that is really wild about this, that I thought was just spectacular. My dog's trying to see what's going on. Is this. So we've got the ship's helm or con, whatever the proper name is, I'm not exactly sure. It turns, it moves. Now, it's a little top heavy, it's a little uneven, it does wobble a little bit. It sits pretty well, and it doesn't really lock into place at all on the base itself, which is probably a good thing because this way you can move it to wherever you want. But you had better be careful wherever you place this thing, because you don't want this to fall and break, because it really is spectacular. It moves. It's got the rope tied all around the wheel here, so it moves and looks very impressive. It is a resin. It's actually surprisingly light, which I was pretty impressed with. I expected it to be a lot heavier, but Yeah, I like this a lot. It got me thinking about when I make a display for this, should I do something where it's on like the deck of the Black Pearl? But then again, if I do that, some of the other figures that I want to go along with this aren't going to have a place for it. Now, I did pick this guy up last year. Whoops, his stand fell. Here's the third-party Barbossa figure. This was SW Toys, I think. I'm not certain. I'd have to look at the box over there, Lord of the Caspian Sea. But it now, in my opinion, the Jeffrey Rush sculpture on this looks a little bit young to me next to Jack because, I mean, Barbossa always seemed like about like 10, 15 years older than Jack. So in this look, he looks a little bit younger. He looks probably like he's in his mid 30s or so. The outfit is very nice. It's nowhere near as detailed. I thought this was really, really impressive until I got the Hot Toys. And this outfit, well, very, very good. The Hot Toys version is just so exceptional. It's amazing. He does have a real metal sword. He comes with a couple chalices for the Fountain of Youth from the On Stranger Tides film. But he does come with the little monkey. He's got his little monkey Jack goes on the ship. And he's supposed to be able to fit on his shoulder with his little magnet and sit up on Barbossa's shoulder. But I think they forgot to put a magnet in mine or whatever because he doesn't sit up there. But that's okay. I'm going to find a place for him. And he does come with a cool base as well. I think these pieces are going to look very well together. So what I think I'm probably going to do is make a backdrop of like the pirate tavern. So I'll have these guys all hanging out in the bar after they've finished their tour and pillaged their prey on the high seas and gotten their bounty or booty. But yeah, I think it would be booty. That's the correct term. Bounty is the other thing. Anyway, so Hot Toys Jack Sparrow figure. If you are a fan and you are thinking about picking this guy up, this one is the collector's edition. It's not the deluxe and it's not the artisan. This guy is on wait list. I believe you can still order the other ones. If you are a Pirates of the Caribbean fan, I would highly recommend getting this. This is the most expensive figure that I've bought because I struggle with buying very, very expensive action figures because, I mean, they're collectibles, yes, but they are toys, and I can't in good conscience spend that much money on just loading things up, especially when I don't have a place to put most of the things I already have. So, and yeah, I have to rotate things out a bit. So, but yeah, this is a great figure. Now, it's got me thinking. I think I'm going to start sculpting a Joshua Gibbs figure, and Pintel and Righetti. I think those two would make good accessories for these guys. And I'll set it up in like a pirate bar scene, which I think would be pretty cool. One of these days, maybe I'll actually sculpt a Keith Richards as Captain. Was it Captain Teague? The Jack Sparrow's father in the film. But yeah, it's this is really, really impressive figure. I am quite excited when I saw the quality of this thing, and it gave me some ideas about how to do things. Now, for a customizing front, clearly not everybody's going to be dressed as nicely as Jack, and it's going to be hard to find some of those fancy pirate buckles. So I will have to be on the lookout for something like that. I'll probably have to end up sculpting them or see if I can't get them on the 3D printer and make them like that because they're pretty ornate. Which 3D printing will probably be the way to go with it. But yeah, the Jack Sparrow figure, the hat feels like it's real leather. It's probably a pleather. I was expecting it to be molded, but it's actually a piece of fabric, and it's folded and sewn and pressed together. Probably a little glue on there. But I believe there was a mold worked in on this, so it was kind of pressed to it with some heat and shaped, so it fits on his hat and his head pretty well. It sits a little bit low, I think. In the movie, it sits a little bit higher. This guy here on the Jeffrey Rush figure, his hat's a little tight. You have to really push it down. But these guys are going to go well together. So if you're in the market for a good pirate figure, I highly recommend this. It's really, really impressive. The sculpture is absolutely spectacular. The paint applications are fabulous. The costume and the outfit is remarkable, and the accessories are pretty extensive. The box that it comes in is a work of art, and it's huge. It's sitting over there in the corner because it's just too big to drag over here and put on the camera. I would have to back up like 3 feet for you to see it. But anyway, so that is my review of the Dead Men Tell No Tales Jack Sparrow figure. I do have on pre-order, there is a Blackbeard figure coming from a third party, and I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but I know it is going to be available for still available for pre-order right now, I believe, on either TNS Toys, Giant Toys, or what's the other one? There's another company out there. I'll see if I can put it in the description. But yeah, check it out. And so I will have all these guys together. I'll have a Captain Barbossa, Captain Sparrow, and Captain Teach with the Blackbeard figure. I do have a Will Turner figure from SW Toys on pre-order, and they say that it's been delayed and will come out in August. I'm glad he's already paid for it. I don't have to worry about any other added cost to him. And I will have some other figures that I will custom ones that I'm going to see if I can't make and really dress out this this display. I will keep you updated on how I make out with doing the boots and see if they come out as well as I hope they do. I think the real trick is going to be finding a fabric that will be useful and firm enough that it doesn't just kind of flop over. So I'll have to see how that goes. But anyway, thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure. And I'm hoping that I can get some more of this stuff done and throw some pointers out there, what I learned from it, and pass it on to you guys who want to make your own stuff. Keep collecting, keep making your own things, and have some fun.